The hospital room was too quiet. That was the first thing Simone noticed when she opened her eyes. The machines that had been beeping steadily beside her baby's crib had changed rhythm, and her heart knew before her mind did that something was wrong. "Nurse," she called out, her voice cracking. "Nurse, please." 6 months ago, Simone Patterson had been planning a nursery with soft yellow walls and dreaming about teaching her daughter to braid her hair one day. Now she sat in this cold room, watching her baby girl struggle with every breath, and the yellow paint samples were still tucked in a drawer at home, forgotten. The doctor came in within minutes. Dr. Helen Cross had kind eyes, but they couldn't hide the weight of what she was about to say. "Mrs. Patterson, we've gotten Naomi's test results back." Dr. Cross pulled up a chair, sitting at eye level. "That was never a good sign. Your daughter has a congenital heart defect. It's called tetralogy of Fallot. Without surgery, her condition will continue to deteriorate." The words hit like fists. Simone felt her hands go numb. "Surgery?" Her voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. "Multiple surgeries, actually. The first one needs to happen within the next month. It's serious, but Dr. Chin," Dr. Cross caught herself. "Dr. Morrison and his team are excellent. They've had very good outcomes with this procedure." Simone looked down at Naomi, so small in her hospital crib, her brown skin taking on a bluish tint that the nurses said meant she wasn't getting enough oxygen. Her daughter. Her baby. The one she and Derek had prayed for, cried happy tears over, promised to protect forever. "I need to call my husband," Simone whispered. She tried Derek's phone 4 times. Each time it went to voicemail. She texted him, 911. "Hospital. Need you now." Then she waited. An hour passed. Then 2. Lorraine, Simone's mother, arrived before Derek did, rushing through the door with tears already streaming down her face. "Baby girl, what did the doctor say?" Simone explained it all again, her voice mechanical now, drained of emotion. Her mother held her hand so tight it almost hurt, and Simone was grateful for it. When Derek finally walked in 3 hours later, he smelled like the barbershop in Cologne. He'd taken time to get a haircut. While their daughter lay in a hospital bed fighting to breathe, he'd been sitting in a barber's chair. "What's going on?" he asked, his eyes darting around the room, landing on everything except baby Naomi. Simone stood up slowly. "Where were you?" "I was at Marcus." He stopped himself. "I was out. I got here as fast as I could. I called you 3 hours ago." "Simone, don't start. Just tell me what's happening." She wanted to scream. Instead, she explained about the heart defect, the surgeries, the long road ahead. With every word, she watched Derek's face change. The color drained from his cheeks. His jaw tightened. His eyes went somewhere distant. "Multiple surgeries?" he repeated. "Yes." "How much is that going to cost?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Lorraine's head snapped up. Even Simone was stunned into silence. "That's what you want to know right now?" Lorraine's voice was sharp. "Your child is sick and you're asking about money?" Derek's face hardened. "Somebody has to be practical. We just bought the house. We have one income now since Simone stopped working. You think surgeries are cheap?" "She's your daughter," Simone heard herself say. The words came out hollow. "I know that." But he still hadn't looked at Naomi. Not once since he'd walked in. Dr. Cross returned with more information, explaining the surgery timeline, the recovery, the follow-up procedures. Simone absorbed every word. Derek stared at the floor. That night, Simone slept in a chair by Naomi's crib, her hand resting on her daughter's tiny chest, feeling it rise and fall in its labored rhythm. Derek went home, said he needed to process everything. He came back the next morning with coffee for himself. None for Simone. The next 2 weeks were a blur of consultations, pre-op appointments, and insurance battles. Through it all, Simone noticed Derek pulling away. He stayed at work later. Stopped asking about doctor's updates. Slept on the couch when he came home at all. "He's scared," Janice told Simone one afternoon, her best friend's hand warm on her shoulder. "Some men don't know how to handle this kind of thing." "Then he needs to learn," Simone said flatly. "Because I don't have time to be scared. Our daughter needs me." The night before Naomi's first surgery, Simone sat in the nursery they still hadn't finished, holding her daughter close. Naomi's tiny fingers wrapped around Simone's thumb, and she cooed softly, unaware that tomorrow doctors would cut into her chest to repair what was broken inside. Derek stood in the doorway. When Simone looked up, she saw something in his eyes that made her blood run cold. "I can't do this," he said. 4 words. That's all it took to break everything. "What?" "I can't do this, Simone. I thought I could, but I can't. This is too much." The surgeries, the recovery, the medical bills, the uncertainty. I didn't sign up for this. Simone stood up, holding Naomi closer. You didn't sign up for this? She's your child. Our child. I know, but he ran his hands over his face. I can't watch her suffer. I can't spend my life in and out of hospitals. I can't handle this. So what are you saying? The silence stretched between them like a chasm. I'm saying I need to leave. The words didn't make sense at first. Simone stared at him, waiting for the punchline, the just kidding, the anything that would make this nightmare stop. But Derek just stood there, his bags already packed in the hallway behind him. You're leaving? Her voice cracked. Tomorrow? The morning of our daughter's heart surgery? I know the timing is terrible. The timing? Simone's laugh was bitter and broken. The timing? Derek, there is no good timing to abandon your sick child. Don't make me the villain here. You're doing that all by yourself. Lorraine appeared behind Derek, her face twisted with disgust. Get out of this house. Now. Derek grabbed his bags. At the door he turned back one last time. I'll send money for the surgery. We don't want your money, Simone said quietly, tears streaming down her face now. We wanted you. The door closed. The man she'd loved, the man she'd married, the father of her child, was gone. Just like that. Simone sank to the floor, still holding Naomi, and sobbed until she had no tears left. Her mother held them both, rocking them gently, whispering prayers and promises that everything would be okay. But how could anything be okay when the person who was supposed to stand by her side had walked away when she needed him most? The morning of Naomi's surgery came with a gray sky and cold rain. Simone hadn't slept. She'd spent the night in the rocking chair, holding her daughter, memorizing every detail of her face just in case the unthinkable happened. She wouldn't let herself finish that thought. Lorraine drove them to the hospital at 5 in the morning. The streets were empty, the city still sleeping. Simone sat in the back seat with Naomi's car seat, watching her baby sleep peacefully, unaware that in a few hours surgeons would stop her heart to fix it. You know I'm proud of you, Lorraine said softly from the front seat. For what? Simone's voice was hollow. She hadn't spoken much since Derek left. For being strong. For being here. For loving that baby the way she deserves. What choice do I have? You'd be surprised how many people make the wrong choice. Lorraine's eyes met hers in the rearview mirror. He showed you who he was. Believe him. At the hospital they went through pre-op procedures. Simone changed Naomi into a tiny hospital gown, her hands shaking as she tied the strings. A nurse came to put it in 4, and Naomi cried and Simone cried, and it took everything in her not to grab her baby and run. Dr. Cross came by to review everything one more time. We're going to take good care of her, she promised, her hand on Simone's shoulder. I know this is terrifying, but you're doing the right thing. Without this surgery, her quality of life would continue to decline. This gives her a chance at normal childhood. How long will it take? About 4 hours. Maybe 5. We'll keep you updated throughout. Janice arrived just as they were taking Naomi back to the operating room. She'd taken the day off work, brought coffee and snacks that Simone knew she wouldn't touch, and most importantly, she was there. I'm here, girl, Janice said, pulling Simone into a tight hug. Whatever you need. Simone was allowed to walk with Naomi's gurney to the operating room doors. She kissed her daughter's forehead one more time, breathing in that sweet baby smell, and then watched as they wheeled her away. The doors swung shut and Simone's knees buckled. Lorraine and Janice caught her, one on each side, and guided her to the waiting room. The next 5 hours were the longest of Simone's life. Every time a nurse came through the doors, her heart stopped. Every announcement over the intercom made her jump. Lorraine prayed out loud, her voice steady and sure, and Simone found herself clinging to those words even though her own faith felt shaky. Her phone buzzed. A text from Derek. How's the surgery going? Simone stared at the message for a long moment, then turned her phone face down without responding. Was that him? Janice asked. Yeah. What did he say? Doesn't matter. Around hour 3, Simone started pacing. She walked the same path over and over, from the waiting room chairs to the window to the coffee machine and back again. Her feet hurt. Her head pounded. Her heart felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. Sit down, baby, Lorraine urged. You're going to wear yourself out. I can't sit. If I sit, I'll think too much. Then talk to me. Tell me what you're feeling. What was she feeling? Everything and nothing. Rage at Derek. Terror for Naomi. Exhaustion so deep it felt like drowning. Love so fierce it hurt to breathe. I keep thinking about what he said, Simone admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. About not signing up for this. Like marriage is only for the good times. Like being a parent has an escape clause for when things get hard. That man is a coward, Janice said bluntly. And you deserve better. We all deserve better, Lorraine added. Especially that baby. At hour 4:30, Dr. Cross finally appeared in the waiting room. Her surgical cap was still on, and there were lines of exhaustion around her eyes, but she was smiling. She did beautifully, Dr. Cross said, and Simone burst into tears. The repair went exactly as planned. Her heart is functioning normally. She's in recovery now, and you can see her in about 30 minutes. Simone couldn't speak. She just nodded, crying so hard her whole body shook. Lorraine and Janice held her, all three of them crying together, relief flooding through them like a wave. When they finally let Simone into the recovery room, Naomi looked so small. Tubes and wires connected her to machines, monitors beeped steadily, and a breathing tube was still in her throat. But her color was better. Even unconscious, she looked stronger. Simone pulled a chair close to the bed and took Naomi's tiny hand in hers. "Mama's here," she whispered. "You did so good, baby. You're so strong. Stronger than anybody I know." A nurse named Patricia came to check Naomi's vitals. She was an older black woman with kind eyes and gentle hands. "How are you holding up, Mama?" Patricia asked. "I'm okay," Simone lied. Patricia gave her a knowing look. "You don't have to be okay right now. What your baby just went through, what you just went through, that's not nothing. Give yourself permission to feel whatever you're feeling. I feel like I'm barely holding on. Then hold on however you can. 1 minute at a time if you have to." Patricia adjusted one of Naomi's tubes. "You know what I see when I look at you? I see a warrior. You showed up today. You held your baby through the scary parts. You're still here. That's what matters." "Her father isn't here," Simone heard herself say. "I know, honey. I read the chart. Says you're next of kin, emergency contact, all of it. Just you." Patricia met Simone's eyes. "Some men aren't strong enough for the hard parts. That's on them, not you. But you're strong enough for both of you. I can already tell." Those words stayed with Simone through the long night. She refused to leave Naomi's side, sleeping in the chair, waking every time a monitor beeped or a nurse came to check vitals. Lorraine stayed too, stretched out on the small couch in the corner, ready to help with anything Simone needed. By morning, Naomi was awake and fussy, which the nurses said was a good sign. Her breathing tube came out, and her first real cry in hours made Simone laugh and cry at the same time. "Hey there, strong girl," Simone cooed, carefully avoiding all the tubes as she leaned close. "Mama's so proud of you." Naomi's eyes focused on her mother's face, and she reached up with one tiny hand. Simone let her daughter wrap her fingers around one of hers, and in that moment she made herself a promise. She would be enough. For both of them. She would work harder, love fiercer, fight stronger. Derek had walked away, but she never would. This baby deserved a parent who showed up, and Simone would be that parent every single day for the rest of her life. 3 days later they went home. Simone converted the living room into a recovery space, setting up Naomi's crib next to the couch so she could be close. The house felt empty without Derek's presence, but Simone was surprised to find it also felt peaceful. No more tension. No more wondering when he'd pull away again. Just her and Naomi and the quiet rhythm of healing. Janice came by every day after work. Lorraine stayed for 2 weeks straight, helping with meals and medication schedules and midnight wake-ups. Friends from church brought casseroles and cards. Simone's co-workers sent flowers and gift cards. Derek sent a check. No card. No call. Just money in an envelope with no return address. Simone tore it up and threw it away. She didn't need his guilt money. She needed him to be a father, and that was something no check could buy. 6 months after the surgery, Simone returned to work. Leaving Naomi felt like tearing off her own skin, even though her daughter was healthy and thriving. Lorraine agreed to watch Naomi during Simone's shifts at the hospital, and that made it bearable, but barely. "Go on, baby," Lorraine said on that first morning back, taking Naomi from Simone's arms. "This little one is in good hands. You need to do this for both of you." Simone worked as a registered nurse in the cardiac unit, which felt both ironic and fitting. Every patient she cared for, she thought about her own daughter's tiny heart, repaired and beating strong. Her supervisor, Carol, called her into the office after her first week back. "How are you doing, Simone?" "Really doing?" "I'm managing." It was her default answer now. "I saw in your paperwork that you're listed as a single parent now. If you need to adjust your hours or—" "I need the hours," Simone interrupted. I need the overtime if it's available, actually. I'm the only income now. Carol's face softened with understanding. I'll see what I can do. But Simone, don't burn yourself out. Your daughter needs you healthy. Simone knew Carol was right, but healthy didn't pay medical bills. Even with insurance, Naomi's surgery had left them with debt. The mortgage still came every month. Daycare costs loomed on the horizon. She picked up extra shifts whenever possible. Started doing weekend overtime. Said yes to every opportunity. At night, after Naomi was asleep, she researched side jobs and budgeting strategies until her eyes burned with exhaustion. Janice noticed first. Girl, you look like death, she said bluntly one Sunday afternoon, stopping by with takeout. When's the last time you slept? I sleep. For more than 4 hours? Simone couldn't remember. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're running yourself into the ground. Janice set down the food and turned to face Simone directly. I know you're trying to prove something, to yourself, to Derek, to the world, but you can't pour from an empty cup. What choice do I have? You have the choice to accept help, to let people in, to stop acting like you have to do everything alone. I am alone. No, you're not. Janice's voice gentled. You have your mama. You have me. You have a whole community of people who want to support you, but you won't let them. Simone felt tears prickling behind her eyes. She'd gotten so good at not crying, at staying strong, at pushing through. But sometimes Janice saw past all her defenses. I don't know how to accept help, Simone admitted. Then learn. Start small. Let your mama watch Naomi an extra day. Let me bring you dinner without you insisting you'll pay me back. Let the church ladies help when they offer. It was hard, but Simone tried. She started saying yes when people offered help. Let Lorraine take Naomi for an overnight so Simone could sleep for 10 hours straight. Accepted gift cards for groceries. Allowed herself to be cared for instead of always being the caregiver. And slowly things got easier. Naomi grew stronger every day. Her checkups with Dr. Cross kept showing improvement. She hit her developmental milestones. Her smile lit up every room she entered. On her first birthday, Simone threw a small party at Lorraine's house. Janice came with a huge gift bag. Friends from church brought food. Co-workers stopped by with presents. Naomi sat in her high chair, her chubby hands smashing into a pink cake, frosting smeared across her face, giggling with pure joy. In that moment, Simone felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Genuine happiness. She pulled out her phone and took a picture. Then another. She wanted to remember this. The first birthday Derek said he'd never be here for. The celebration they'd almost never gotten to have. That night, after everyone left, Simone held Naomi close and sang softly. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Happy birthday to Naomi. Derek. He must have gotten a new number. Simone stared at the message for a long time. Then she blocked it and deleted the text. He didn't get to pop in and out of their lives whenever he felt guilty. He'd made his choice. Now Simone was making hers. The next year passed in a blur of firsts. First words. First steps. First time Naomi said "Mama" and meant it. Simone documented everything in a journal, writing letters to her daughter about their journey. She also started going to a support group for single mothers at the community center. At first, it felt strange to share her story with strangers, but soon those strangers became friends. Women who understood what it meant to rebuild a life alone. Who celebrated the victories and held space for the struggles. One woman, Tasha, had been where Simone was 5 years earlier. Now her daughter was in kindergarten and thriving. It gets easier, Tasha promised. Not easy, but easier. One day you'll wake up and realize you're not just surviving anymore. You're actually living. Simone held on to those words during the hard days. By Naomi's second birthday, Simone had paid off half the medical debt. She'd gotten a small raise at work. She'd moved Naomi into daycare at the hospital, which gave her peace of mind and made nursing easier. She'd also started dating again, though nothing serious. A few dinners. Some nice conversations. Nothing that made her heart race, but that was okay. Her heart was already full. Naomi was her priority. Her joy. Her reason for everything. 3 years after Derek left, Simone's life had found a rhythm. Naomi was 4 years old, healthy and happy, attending a preschool she loved. Simone had been promoted to charge nurse on her unit. The medical debt was almost paid off. The house felt like home again, filled with Naomi's artwork and laughter. It was a Saturday morning in May when everything changed. Simone was in the backyard, pushing Naomi on her new swing set, when she heard the doorbell ring. Hold on, sweet girl. Mama's got to see who that is. She walked through the house, expecting a delivery or maybe Janice stopping by unannounced. Instead, when she opened the door, Derek stood on her porch. He looked different. Older. Thinner. His clothes were neat but cheap. His car in the driveway was nothing like the BMW he'd driven when he left. "Hi, Simone." Her body went cold. Then hot. Then cold again. "What are you doing here? I know I don't have any right to just show up." "You're right. You don't." She started to close the door. "Please." He put his hand against the door, not forcefully, just enough to stop it from closing. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. You don't get to ask me for anything. I know. You're right. But I'm asking anyway. His eyes were different too. Less arrogant. More desperate. "Please, Simone. I need to talk to you." Against every instinct, she stepped out onto the porch and pulled the door closed behind her. She didn't want him in her house. Didn't want him anywhere near the life she'd rebuilt without him. "Talk," she said flatly. Derek took a breath. "I've been in therapy. For 2 years now. Working through my issues. Why I left. Why I've always run when things get hard." "Good for you." Her voice was ice. "I know you're angry. Angry doesn't begin to cover it. You have every right to hate me. What I did was unforgivable. Leaving you when you needed me most. Abandoning our daughter when she was fighting for her life." His voice cracked. "I've spent 3 years hating myself for it. That doesn't change anything." "I know. But I'm trying to be better. I want to be in Naomi's life. In your life. I want to be the man I should have been." Simone laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Now, you want to be a father now? After you missed everything? Her first words? Her first steps? Her first day of school? The nights I stayed up alone wondering if I was doing it right? The time she got sick and I had to handle it by myself? I know I can't get that time back." "You're right. You can't." She crossed her arms. "What makes you think you have any right to walk back into our lives now that the hard part is over?" "The hard part isn't over," Derek said quietly. "I know that. Being a parent is always hard. But I'm ready now. I want to try." "Well, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe Naomi doesn't need you now. We've been doing fine without you. I can see that. You're amazing, Simone. You always have been. You're the strongest person I know. Don't do that. Don't try to sweet-talk me. I'm not. I'm being honest." He ran his hand over his face. "Look, I know I don't deserve anything from you, but Naomi deserves to know her father." "Mama?" A small voice came from behind the door. "Who are you talking to?" Simone's heart stopped. She turned to see Naomi peering through the window, her little face curious. Derek's eyes filled with tears when he saw her. "Is that?" "Don't." Simone's voice was sharp. "You don't get to cry about this. You chose to miss this." Naomi opened the door. "Mama, who is this?" Simone knelt down to her daughter's level. "This is someone Mama used to know. Go back inside, baby. I'll be there in a minute." But Naomi, curious like all 4-year-olds, stayed put. "Hi," she said to Derek, giving him a little wave. "Hi," Derek whispered, his voice breaking. "Hi, Naomi. How do you know my name?" Before Derek could answer, Simone scooped Naomi up. "Inside. Now." She looked at Derek. "You need to leave." "Simone, please. Leave. Or I'm calling the police." She carried Naomi inside and locked the door, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. Through the window, she watched Derek stand on the porch for a long moment before finally walking away. "Who was that man, Mama?" Naomi asked. How did she answer that? How did she explain that the stranger on their porch was Naomi's father? The man who left when she needed him most? Just someone Mama used to know, baby. Don't worry about it. But that night, after Naomi was asleep, Simone called Lorraine. "He came by," she said without preamble. "Derek." "Yeah." There was silence on the other end. Then, what did he want? To be a father. To be in our lives. To fix what he broke. "And what did you say?" "I told him to leave." "Good." Lorraine's voice was firm. "That man gave up his rights when he walked away. But what if he's serious? What if he really has changed? Simone, baby, listen to me. People can change, that's true. But you don't owe him a chance to prove it. Not after what he did. You protect yourself and that little girl first." Simone knew her mother was right. But something nagged at her. What if Naomi did deserve to know her father? What if keeping Derek away was hurting her daughter in ways Simone couldn't see? Over the next week, Derek texted her 3 times. Each message was simple. "Can we talk?" Simone ignored them all. Then he sent a letter. It was long, handwritten, and raw. He wrote about his time in therapy, about the moment he realized what he'd lost, about how he'd spent 3 years working construction jobs and saving money, about how he'd finally gotten to a place where he thought he could be the father Naomi deserved. At the end he wrote, "I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking you to take me back. I'm just asking for a chance to know my daughter. Please, Simone. Let me try." She read the letter 3 times, then put it in a drawer. 2 weeks later, Derek showed up at her work. He waited in the hospital lobby until her shift ended, and when she walked out, he stood up. "I'm not stalking you," he said immediately. "I promise. I just need you to hear me out. Derek, you need to stop this. I filed for joint custody." The words hit her like a punch. "You what?" "I filed for joint custody. I have rights as Naomi's father. I want to be in her life, and if you won't let me do it the easy way, I'll do it the legal way." Simone felt rage flood through her. You abandon your sick child, disappear for 3 years, and now you think you can lawyer up and force your way back in? "I don't want to force anything. I want to work together. But you won't even talk to me. Because you don't deserve to be heard." "Maybe not. But Naomi deserves to have a father. And I'm trying to be that now. You should have been that when it mattered." "I know." His voice softened. "I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life making up for it if you let me. But please, Simone, don't shut me out completely. Don't make our daughter pay for my mistakes." Simone wanted to scream, to cry, to tell him that he'd already made their daughter pay for his mistakes every single day for 3 years. Instead, she took a breath. "If you want to be in her life, you'll do it my way. On my terms. With my rules. You don't get to call the shots anymore." Derek nodded eagerly. "Whatever you say. I'll do whatever you want. First, you're going to prove yourself. I'm not introducing you as her father until I'm sure you're going to stick around. We'll start with supervised visits. You see her with me present and we'll see how it goes." "Okay. Yes. Thank you." "And Derek?" She stepped closer, her voice dropping low. "If you hurt her, if you walk away again, if you disappoint her, if you cause her one single tear, I will make sure you never see her again. Do you understand me?" "I understand." "Good. Because I'm not the woman you left 3 years ago. I'm stronger now. And I will do whatever it takes to protect my daughter." The first visit happened at a park on a Sunday afternoon. Simone chose somewhere public, somewhere safe, somewhere she could leave if things went wrong. Lorraine came too, sitting on a nearby bench like a protective guardian. Naomi wore her favorite purple dress and sparkly shoes. She had no idea why this day was special, that she was about to meet the father who'd been absent from her life. When Derek arrived, he brought a teddy bear and a hopeful smile. Simone saw his hands shake as he approached. "Hi," he said softly. "Mama, is that the man from our house?" Naomi asked, half hiding behind Simone's legs. "Yes, baby. This is Derek. He's your daddy." Naomi peeked out, studying him with curious eyes. "My daddy?" "Yes." Simone's throat felt tight. "Where was you?" Naomi asked with the blunt honesty of a 4-year-old. Derek knelt down to her level. "I was away. But I'm here now, and I'd really like to get to know you if that's okay." Naomi considered this. Then she pointed at the playground. "Do you like swings?" "I love swings." "Me too. Come push me." She grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the swings, and just like that, the first wall came down. Simone watched from a distance, her heart a complicated tangle of emotions. Part of her wanted to snatch Naomi back, protect her from the possibility of future hurt. Part of her recognized her daughter's need for a father. The visit lasted 2 hours. Derek pushed Naomi on the swings, helped her climb the jungle gym, caught her at the bottom of the slide. He was gentle and patient, laughing at her jokes, asking about her favorite things. Every few minutes, he'd glance at Simone as if checking for approval. When it was time to leave, Naomi hugged Derek goodbye without hesitation. "Will you come back?" "If your mama says it's okay." Naomi turned to Simone with pleading eyes. "Can he come back?" What was Simone supposed to say? "We'll see, baby." In the car, Naomi chattered excitedly. "Did you see how high I went on the swings? My daddy pushed me really high. And he said I'm good at climbing." Lorraine caught Simone's eye in the rearview mirror. The look said, "Be careful." That night, after Naomi was asleep, Simone called Janice. "How did it go?" Janice asked. She liked him. Of course she liked him. He showed up with a teddy bear and gave her attention. What 4-year-old wouldn't like that? "And you? How are you feeling about it?" "Scared. Angry. Confused." Simone sank onto the couch. What if he leaves again? What if she gets attached and he disappears? I can't let her go through that. So don't let her get too attached yet. Keep the visits supervised. Keep your boundaries strong. You're in control here, remember that. Over the next month, visits became routine. Every Sunday, Derek would meet them at the park or the zoo or the children's museum. Always supervised. Always on Simone's terms. And every time, Naomi's face would light up when she saw him. Derek was proving himself consistent. He showed up early, stayed the full time, never made excuses. He brought small gifts, coloring books, stuffed animals, hair bows. He asked about Naomi's week, her preschool, her friends. He also tried to talk to Simone, but she kept their conversations brief and focused on Naomi. She's doing great in school, Simone would say. Her teacher says she's very creative. She gets that from you, Derek would reply, and Simone would ignore the compliment. One Sunday Naomi asked, "Why doesn't Daddy come to our house?" Simone froze. Because Mama wants to make sure he's going to keep showing up. But he comes every week. I know, baby. So can he see my room? I want to show him my dolls. This was what Simone had been dreading. The natural progression. The blurring of boundaries. That night she texted Derek, "We need to talk." They met for coffee while Lorraine watched Naomi. It was the first time they'd been alone together since he came back. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," Derek said. "This isn't about us. It's about Naomi." "I know." Simone took a breath. "She wants you to see the house. To see her room. And I think maybe it's time. You've been consistent. You've shown up. But Derek, I need to be very clear about something. Okay? This doesn't mean we're getting back together. This doesn't mean I've forgiven you. This is solely about Naomi having a relationship with her father. Nothing more. I understand. And if you ever miss a visit, ever make an excuse, ever give me any reason to think you're going to flake out again, this ends immediately. I won't. I promise." Simone studied his face, looking for any sign of insincerity. "Why now, Derek? Really? Why come back after 3 years?" He was quiet for a long moment. "I hit rock bottom. Lost my job, my apartment, everything. I was living in my car, and one night I was sitting there thinking about ending it all. And I thought about Naomi, the daughter I'd never really known. And I realized I'd wasted 3 years of her life because I was a coward." Simone felt something crack in her chest, but she kept her face neutral. "I checked myself into a mental health facility," Derek continued. "Spent 6 months there working through my issues. Learned that I have depression and anxiety that I'd never dealt with. Started medication. Started therapy. Got a job in construction. Saved up money. And every single day I thought about you too and what I'd thrown away. That's good that you got help. But it doesn't erase what you did. I know. Nothing can erase it. But I'm asking for a chance to build something new. Not to fix the past, but to be better in the future." Simone wanted to stay angry. Anger was safe. But she was also tired. Tired of holding on to rage. Tired of protecting her heart. Tired of being everything to everyone. One visit. At the house. For 1 hour. And we'll see how it goes from there. Derek's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Simone. Thank you." The following Saturday, Derek came to the house for the first time since he'd walked out. Naomi greeted him at the door with a squeal of excitement. "Daddy, come see my room." She dragged him through the house, pointing out her artwork on the fridge, her toys scattered in the living room, her books on the shelf. Simone watched from a distance, her heart in her throat. When Naomi showed Derek the photo album Simone had been keeping, full of pictures of Naomi's life that Derek had missed, he had to excuse himself to the bathroom. Simone heard him crying through the door. He came out with red eyes. "Thank you for documenting everything. Thank you for being the parent I should have been." "I didn't do it for you," Simone said quietly. "I did it for her." After Derek left that day, Naomi asked, "Can Daddy come again?" "Yes, baby. He can come again." And just like that, Derek became a regular presence in their lives again. Not as a husband. Not as Simone's partner. But as Naomi's father, slowly earning his place back one visit at a time. 3 months into regular visits, Derek asked if he could take Naomi out alone. Just for an hour, just to a nearby restaurant for lunch. Simone's immediate instinct was to say no. But Janice, ever the voice of reason, reminded her, if you never let go, she'll never have a real relationship with him. So Simone said yes, but only after laying down strict rules. You call me when you get there. You send me pictures. You have her back in exactly 1 hour. Derek agreed to everything. Simone spent that hour pacing her living room, checking her phone every 30 seconds. Lorraine watched with a mixture of amusement and concern. Baby, you've got to breathe. What if something happens? What if he doesn't bring her back? Then you call the police. But you can't live in fear forever. At some point, you have to trust the progress. When Derek returned Naomi exactly 60 minutes later, right on schedule, Simone felt a tiny bit of the tension in her shoulders release. Did you have fun? She asked Naomi. Yes. Daddy let me get chicken nuggets and chocolate milk, and he said I can have ice cream next time. After Naomi ran off to play, Derek lingered at the door. Thank you for trusting me. I'm trusting you with supervised visits that expand slowly. Don't confuse that with trust. Fair enough. He paused. Can I ask you something? What? Would you ever consider letting me have her overnight? Not now, he added quickly. But eventually. When you're ready. The question felt like a punch. Overnight meant real custody. It meant shared parenting. It meant letting Naomi sleep under Derek's roof, out of Simone's protection. I'm not there yet, Simone said firmly. Okay, I understand. I just wanted you to know that's my goal. I want to be a real parent, not just a weekend visitor. After he left, Simone sat on the couch, her head in her hands. Everything was changing too fast. The life she'd built as a single mother, the identity she'd forged, the control she'd maintained, all of it was shifting. That week, she brought it up in her support group. He wants overnight visits, she told the circle of women who'd become her anchor. And I don't know if I can do that. Tasha, who'd been through her own custody battles, spoke up. What are you afraid of? Everything. That he'll hurt her. That he'll leave again. That she'll love him more than me. That I'll lose her. Those are all valid fears, another woman named Brenda said. But you can't make decisions based on fear. You have to make them based on what's best for Naomi. How do I know what's best? You trust your gut. You watch the situation. You move at your own pace. Tasha leaned forward. But Simone, you also have to be honest with yourself. Is your hesitation about protecting Naomi, or is it about not wanting to share her? The question hit hard. Simone went home and journaled for hours that night, really examining her feelings. And she realized Tasha was right. Part of her resistance was protective, but part of it was possessive. She'd been everything to Naomi for so long. What if sharing custody meant losing the special bond they had? She brought it up with her therapist the next week. Yes, Simone had started therapy too, finally using her employee benefits after Janice pushed her to go. It's natural to feel possessive, Dr. Mitchell told her. You've been the sole parent for years. But is it healthy for Naomi to have only one parent when there's another one willing and able to step up? I don't know. Think about it this way. What would you tell a patient's family if they were in this situation? Simone considered. I'd tell them to put the child first. To put aside their own hurt and do what's best for the child. And what's best for Naomi? Simone knew the answer even if she didn't want to admit it. To have two parents who love her. Over the next month, Simone slowly loosened her grip. She let Derek take Naomi for longer outings. To the aquarium. To his mother's house to meet her grandmother for the first time. To a movie. Each time, Naomi came back happy and chattering about her adventures. And each time, Derek returned her exactly when he promised, with photos to show Simone everything they'd done. He was proving himself. Consistently. Repeatedly. One evening after Derek dropped Naomi off, he asked, "Can we talk? Just for a few minutes?" Simone stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind her. "What's up?" "I wanted to show you something." He pulled out his phone and showed her pictures of an apartment. "I've been staying with my mom, but I'm getting my own place. 2 bedrooms. I want one to be Naomi's room." Simone's stomach tightened. "Why?" "Because I want to work toward joint custody. Real custody. Where she stays with me some weekends, some holidays. Where I'm not just a visitor in her life." "Derek, I know it's scary. But Simone, I've been showing up for 6 months now. I've done everything you've asked. I'm in therapy. I'm stable. I'm committed. At some point, don't I deserve more than supervised visits?" He was right, and Simone hated it. He'd done everything right. He'd been consistent. He'd proven he wasn't going to disappear again. "I need time to think about it," she said finally. "That's all I'm asking. Just think about it." That night, Simone called Lorraine. "He wants joint custody. A real custody arrangement. And I don't want to share her. Baby girl, I know this is hard. But that man has been trying. He's been showing up. He's not the same person who walked away. How do I know he won't leave again?" "You don't." but you can't control everything. At some point, you have to decide if you're going to live in fear or trust that he's changed. What if I'm wrong? What if I let her get attached and he breaks her heart? Then you'll be there to pick up the pieces just like you've always been. But Simone, what if you're right? What if he really has changed? Don't you want Naomi to have her father? It was the question Simone kept avoiding. Did she want Naomi to have a relationship with Derek? Or did she want to punish him forever? She prayed about it, journaled about it, talked to her therapist about it, and slowly, reluctantly, she came to accept that Derek deserved a chance at real parenting. The next Sunday after Derek's visit, Simone asked him to stay. I've been thinking about what you said. And? I'm willing to discuss a custody arrangement. But we're doing this officially through a mediator, with clear schedules and boundaries. And if you mess this up, if you miss even one pickup, the agreement is void. Derek's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Simone. I promise I won't let you down. Don't promise me anything. Promise her. Over the next few weeks, they met with a family mediator. They worked out a schedule. Derek would have Naomi every other weekend, starting with daytime visits and gradually working up to overnights. They established guidelines for communication, discipline, and emergency situations. It was painful and exhausting, but Simone pushed through. For Naomi, the first overnight visit approached, and Simone felt physically ill. She packed Naomi's bag 3 times, making sure she had everything. Her favorite stuffed animal, her special blanket, her nightlight. Mama, why are you crying? Naomi asked as Simone zipped up the overnight bag. I'm not crying, baby. Yes, you are. Your eyes are wet. Simone pulled Naomi into a hug. Mama's just going to miss you, that's all. But I'll be back tomorrow. I know. I'll be here waiting. When Derek came to pick up Naomi, Simone went through the bag's contents 3 times. Her inhaler is in the side pocket. She needs her blanket to sleep. She might have bad dreams, so just hold her if she does. She likes pancakes for breakfast and... Simone. Derek put his hand gently on her arm. I've got this. I promise. She watched them drive away, her heart breaking into 1,000 pieces. Then she went inside, sat on Naomi's bed, and cried harder than she had in years. Lorraine found her there an hour later. Come on, baby. Let's go get some food. Keep your mind busy. That night was the longest of Simone's life. She checked her phone constantly, even though Derek had texted pictures. Naomi eating dinner. Naomi in her pajamas. Naomi asleep in her new room at Derek's apartment. In the morning, Derek brought Naomi home right on schedule. She was happy and excited, chattering about the fun she'd had. See, Derek said quietly to Simone. We're okay. She's okay. And despite everything, despite all her fears and all her resistance, Simone had to admit he was right. 6 months into the custody arrangement, something neither Simone nor Derek expected happened. Derek lost his job. He told Simone immediately, meeting her at a coffee shop with slumped shoulders and worried eyes. The construction company is downsizing. I was one of the last hired, so I'm one of the first let go. Simone's first instinct was vindication. See, I knew he wasn't stable. But his next words surprised her. I have savings for 3 months of rent and child support. I've already applied to 5 other companies. I'm not going to let this affect my time with Naomi. Derek, I'm not looking for child support right now. I'm financially stable. I know you are. But that's not the point. I want to contribute. I need to contribute. That's part of being a parent. Simone studied him across the table. The old Derek would have used this as an excuse to pull away, to make it about his struggles. This Derek was taking responsibility. Okay, she said carefully. But if money gets tight, you tell me. Naomi's needs come first. Always. True to his word, Derek kept every single visit with Naomi despite his job loss. He found work within 3 weeks. Not construction but warehouse work that paid less but was steady. He adjusted his budget, moved to a slightly cheaper apartment, but never once asked to change the custody schedule. Simone watched all of this with something that felt dangerously close to respect. Meanwhile, Naomi was thriving. She loved having time with both parents. She'd started calling Derek's apartment Daddy's house, and would excitedly tell Simone about her weekends there. The puzzles they did together, the movies they watched, the pancakes he made her for breakfast. But then one Sunday Naomi came home with a fever. By Monday morning she was struggling to breathe. Mama, my chest hurts, she whimpered, her little hand pressed against her ribs. Simone's blood ran cold. She grabbed her keys and drove straight to the hospital, calling Derek on the way. Something's wrong. We're going to the ER. Meet us there if you can. She didn't even think about whether to include him. She just called. Derek beat them to the hospital, pacing in the waiting area. When he saw Naomi in Simone's arms, his face went white. What happened? I don't know. Fever, trouble breathing, chest pain. It might be her heart. They both knew what that meant. Naomi's repaired heart could have complications. It was rare but possible. For the next 3 hours they sat side by side in the ER waiting for test results. No animosity. No blame. Just two terrified parents united by love for their child. I'm sorry, Derek said suddenly, for not being here the first time, when she had the surgery. I think about that every single day. I know, Simone said softly. I was so scared. I didn't know how to handle it, so I ran. But sitting here now, feeling this fear, I can't imagine what you went through alone. I wasn't completely alone. I had my mom, Janice, good doctors. Still, you shouldn't have had to go through it without her father. Simone looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in years without the filter of anger. She saw the guilt, the regret, the genuine love for their daughter. And she saw something else. Growth. Change. Accountability. You're here now, she said finally. That's what matters. Dr. Cross came out with good news. Naomi had pneumonia, not a heart complication. Scary but treatable. She'd need antibiotics and rest, but she'd be okay. Both Derek and Simone sagged with relief. Can I stay with her? Derek asked. At your house, I mean. Just for a few days while she's sick. I can sleep on the couch. The old Simone would have said no immediately. But this Simone, the one who'd been watching Derek prove himself for months, found herself nodding. Okay. But just until she's better. Over the next week, Derek slept on Simone's couch. During the day while Simone worked, he took care of Naomi, giving her medicine, making her soup, reading her stories. In the evenings, he and Simone worked together, taking turns so the other could rest. It was strange living under the same roof again. But it was also surprisingly natural. They developed a rhythm as co-parents that translated into domestic partnership without the romance. One night, after Naomi was asleep, they sat together in the living room. Simone had made tea, something she did when she was stressed, and Derek accepted a cup gratefully. Thank you for letting me stay, he said. I know it can't be easy having me here. It's not as weird as I thought it would be. Yeah. You're different. The way you handle things. The way you show up. Simone paused. You've changed, Derek. Really changed. I had to. Losing you two was the worst thing that ever happened to me, but it was also the wake-up call I needed. I couldn't keep running from hard things. What made the difference? Really? Derek thought about it. Therapy helped. Medication helped. But honestly, it was hitting rock bottom. When I had nothing left to lose, I finally had to face myself. And I didn't like what I saw. That takes courage. So does what you've been doing. Raising Naomi alone. Being both parents. Giving me a chance even though I didn't deserve it. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Derek said, Simone, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? Not for me. I know I don't deserve it. But for you. So you can let go of that burden. Simone considered the question. I think I'm already forgiving you. Little by little. Every time you show up. Every time you put Naomi first. Every time you prove you're not who you used to be. I'm sorry. For everything. I know I've said it before, but I mean it. I'm so sorry. I know you are. When Naomi was finally better, Derek moved back to his apartment. But something had shifted between them. Not romance, neither of them wanted that. But respect. Partnership. Trust. They were co-parenting better than some married couples Simone knew. At Naomi's next parent-teacher conference, they went together. At her preschool graduation, they sat side by side. At her 5th birthday party, they jointly hosted, working together so seamlessly that guests asked if they'd gotten back together. No, Simone would say firmly. We're just co-parenting well. And it was true. They weren't together. But they also weren't enemies anymore. They'd found something new, a functional partnership built on their shared love for their daughter. But as Naomi's 5th birthday approached, both Simone and Derek knew they needed to have a difficult conversation about the future. It was Naomi's 5th birthday party when she asked the question they'd both been dreading. Why don't you and Daddy live together? The party was winding down. Most guests had left, and Naomi sat between Simone and Derek on the couch, still wearing her birthday crown. Derek and Simone exchanged glances. They prepared for this question but hoped it wouldn't come for a while longer. Well, baby, Simone started carefully, Mama and Daddy aren't married anymore. But Taylor's parents aren't married and they still live together. Every family is different, sweet girl. But I want us to be together. Like a real family. Derek spoke up gently. We are a real family, Naomi. Families can look lots of different ways. Some kids have a mom and dad in the same house. Some have them in different houses. Some have 2 moms or 2 dads. It doesn't make any family less real. But I miss you when I'm at Mama's house. And I miss Mama when I'm at your house. Simone's heart cracked. I know, baby. That's hard. After Naomi went to bed, Derek stayed behind to help clean up. Lorraine, sensing they needed privacy, took herself home early. That was rough, Derek said, wrapping up leftover cake. Yeah. Simone loaded the dishwasher. She's going to keep asking. What are we going to tell her? Simone turned to face him. The truth. That we're not getting back together. That we co-parent really well, but we're not a couple anymore. Is that really the truth, though? What do you mean? Derek set down the cake. I mean, are you sure that's still true? Derek, hear me out. I'm not saying we should get back together. I know I have no right to ask that. But I am saying that over this past year, being co-parents with you has been the best relationship I've ever had. We communicate. We work together. We respect each other. That's co-parenting. That's not marriage. I know. But what if it could be? What if we tried again? Simone felt panic rise in her chest. No. Absolutely not. Why not? Because you left, Derek. Because when things got hard, you walked away. Because I spent 3 years rebuilding myself without you, and I'm not going to risk that again. I'm not that person anymore. Maybe not. But I'm not the person I was either. I'm stronger now. More independent. I don't need you. I know you don't need me. But maybe we could want each other anyway. Derek, we're good as co-parents. Let's not mess that up by trying to be something we're not. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, okay. I respect that. But Simone, I need you to know something. I love you. I probably never stopped loving you. And I'm not telling you this to pressure you or make you uncomfortable. I'm telling you because it's true, and I don't want to spend another day hiding it. Simone felt tears pricking at her eyes. Don't do this. I'm not doing anything. I'm just being honest. I love you. I love our daughter. I love the life we've built as co-parents. And if that's all it ever is, I'll accept that. But if there's even a small chance. There isn't. The words came out harsher than she intended. Derek flinched but nodded. Okay. Message received. After he left, Simone sat alone in the living room, her head in her hands. She'd been telling herself for a year that her feelings for Derek were purely practical, co-parenting, nothing more. But if that was true, why did her heart hurt so much right now? She called Janice. He told me he loves me, Simone said without preamble. And I told him there's no chance of us getting back together. Is that true? Of course it's true. After what he did. Simone, we've been friends for 10 years. Don't lie to me. Simone was quiet. I don't know, she finally admitted. I thought I was over him. But watching him be a good father, seeing how much he's changed. You're catching feelings again. No. Maybe. I don't know. Have you forgiven him? Mostly. Do you trust him? More than I did. Do you still love him? That was the question Simone had been avoiding. Love isn't enough. It wasn't enough the first time. You're right. But the first time you had love without partnership. Now you have partnership. Maybe together that's enough. Or maybe I'm just lonely. Maybe I'm confusing good co-parenting with romantic feelings. Only you can figure that out, Janice said gently. But Simone, you can't live your life in fear of getting hurt again. At some point, you have to decide if you're going to take a risk. Over the next few weeks, Simone couldn't stop thinking about Derek's confession. She watched him during pickups and drop-offs, during Naomi's soccer games, during their coordinated bedtime video calls. She saw the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention. The way he always asked how her day was. The way he'd text her funny things Naomi said just to make her smile. She also saw the way Naomi lit up when both her parents were in the same room. The way she'd try to maneuver them into sitting together. The way she'd say things like, I wish we could all watch this movie together, or, I wish Daddy could stay for dinner. In her support group, Simone brought up the situation. He said he wants to try again, she told the circle of women. And I don't know what to do. Tasha, who'd been quietly listening, spoke up. What do you want? I want Naomi to be happy. I want to protect myself from getting hurt. She stopped. I don't know what I want. Bull, Brenda said bluntly. You know exactly what you want. You're just scared to admit it. What if he leaves again? What if he doesn't? Tasha countered. What if you let fear keep you from something real? That night, Simone journaled for hours. She made lists of pros and cons. She prayed. She cried. She called her mother. What should I do, Mama? Baby girl, I can't tell you that. But I can tell you what I see. I see a man who's worked hard to change. Who's been consistent for over a year. Who loves you and his daughter. And I see a woman who's scared to be vulnerable again, and I understand that. But Simone, fear is not a good reason to say no to love. What if I can't trust him? Do you trust him with Naomi? Yes. Then maybe you can learn to trust him with your heart too. 2 weeks later, Derek invited Simone to coffee. Just the two of them, no Naomi, no co-parenting agenda. I need to say something, he started. I want to apologize again for putting you on the spot with that love confession. That wasn't fair. You've given me so much already, a relationship with our daughter, a second chance at being a father. I shouldn't have asked for more. Derek, let me finish. I've been thinking a lot about what you said. About how we're good as co-parents and we shouldn't mess that up. You're right. So I'm going to stop hoping for more. I'm going to accept what we have and be grateful for it. Simone felt something drop in her stomach. Okay. I just wanted you to know that. So things don't get weird between us. They're not weird. Good. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. So, Naomi has that field trip next week. I was thinking one of us could chaperone. They talked logistics for a while, their conversation easy and comfortable like always. But something felt off. Wrong. Like they were both pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. When they stood to leave, Simone heard herself say, Derek, wait. He turned back. Yeah. She took a breath. I've been thinking about what you said. About trying again. His whole body went still. And I'm scared. Terrified, actually. But I'm also... She searched for the right words. I'm also tired of being scared. I spent the last year watching you prove yourself, and you have. You've been an amazing father. You've been a solid co-parent. You've been kind and respectful and consistent. Simone, I'm not saying let's get married again. I'm not saying let's jump into anything. But maybe we could try. Slowly. See where it goes. Derek's eyes filled with tears. Really? Really? But Derek, I need you to understand something. If you hurt me again, if you walk away again, there's no coming back. This is your only chance. I understand. And we go slow. Like really slow. Dating slow. Getting to know each other again slow. Whatever pace you need. Simone felt tears on her own cheeks now. Okay then. Okay. Derek smiled, and this time it reached his eyes. Can I hug you? She nodded, and he pulled her into an embrace that felt like coming home and stepping into the unknown all at once. The first date felt impossibly awkward. Derek picked Simone up from her own house, which was strange, and they went to a restaurant they'd never been to during their marriage. Starting fresh. I feel like I'm 16 again, Simone admitted as they looked at menus. Good nervous or bad nervous? Both. They made small talk about work, about Naomi's school, about everything except the weight of what they were attempting. Halfway through dinner, Derek set down his fork. This is weird, he said. So weird. We've had a child together, been married, divorced, and co-parented for a year. And now we're sitting here on a first date like strangers. Simone laughed and the tension broke. When you put it like that, it sounds ridiculous. It kind of is. Derek smiled. Can we just be real? Can we just be us? I don't know who us is anymore. We're not who we were. You're right. So let's figure out who we are now. He reached across the table, palm up, offering. Simone looked at his hand for a long moment before placing hers in it. Tell me about your therapy, she said. I want to understand what changed. Derek talked about his journey, the diagnosis of depression and anxiety, learning his patterns, understanding his fear of abandonment that made him abandon others first. He talked about medication, finding the right balance, about cognitive behavioral therapy, about group sessions with other men, learning to be vulnerable. I learned that I equated hard with doomed, Derek explained. When Naomi got sick, some part of my brain decided that meant the relationship was doomed, so I ran before it could fall apart. Like some twisted self-protection. That makes sense, Simone said softly. Not excuse it, but I understand it. Your turn. Tell me about your journey. Simone talked about the years of rebuilding, the loneliness and the strength, the support group, her own therapy, learning she didn't need to be everything to everyone, but choosing to be there for her daughter anyway. I learned I'm stronger than I thought, she said. But also that strength doesn't mean doing everything alone. It took me a long time to accept help. And now I'm trying to learn how to be strong with someone else. Not instead of someone, but with them. The date lasted 4 hours. They closed down the restaurant, talking about everything and nothing, laughing, sometimes crying, rediscovering each other as the people they'd become. When Derek dropped Simone home, they stood on the porch like teenagers. Can I kiss you? He asked. Not yet. But not yet. Okay. He smiled. This was really nice. It was. Over the next few months, they dated carefully. Dinner dates, movie nights, walks in the park while Naomi was at school. Sometimes with Naomi, sometimes without. Slowly building something new on the foundation of their shared history. They also went to couples therapy. Dr. Foster, a black woman in her 50s who specialized in divorce recovery and second-chance relationships, gave them tools to communicate better. You're essentially building a new relationship, Dr. Foster explained in one session. You have history, yes, but you can't rely on old patterns. You have to consciously create new ones. They practiced vulnerable communication, active listening, naming feelings without blame. It was hard work, harder than dating had ever been the first time around. But they both showed up week after week, committed to the process. Naomi noticed the change between her parents. Are you and Daddy getting married again? She asked one night during bedtime. I don't know, baby. We're spending time together and figuring things out. Good. I like it when you smile at him now. I smile at him? Yeah. Like you used to smile at me when I was little and sick. Like you're happy he's there. The observation struck Simone. She hadn't realized how visible her feelings were becoming. That weekend, Simone invited Derek to a family dinner at Lorraine's house. It was the first time he'd been there since before Naomi was born. Lorraine opened the door, looked Derek up and down, then pointed at him. You hurt my daughter or my granddaughter again, and you'll answer to me and God in that order. Yes, ma'am, Derek said seriously. I understand. Good. Her face softened slightly. Now get in here and help me with these greens. It was a test and Derek passed. He helped cook, he engaged with Lorraine's questions, he didn't shy away from hard conversations about the past. By the end of the night, Lorraine pulled Simone aside. He's different, she admitted. I know. You're different too. I know. Are you sure about this? No, Simone said honestly. But I'm trying anyway. Lorraine hugged her daughter. Then I'm with you. Whatever you choose. 6 months into dating, Derek asked Simone a question. Do you think we're ready to tell Naomi we're together? Like officially together? Simone considered. Are we officially together? I think we are. I mean, I'm not seeing anyone else. Are you? No. And we're committed to making this work? Yes. Then yeah, I think we're together. He paused. Unless you don't want to be? I do, Simone said, surprising herself with how much she meant it. I really do. They told Naomi that weekend. She was ecstatic, jumping up and down, asking if that meant they were going to live together now. Not yet, Simone said. Mama and Daddy are taking things slow. But yes, we're together. Does that mean you love each other? Derek looked at Simone. She looked back at him. And in that moment, she realized something that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. She was falling in love with him again. Or maybe for the first time because this Derek was someone new. Someone better. Yes, she said softly. We love each other. Naomi cheered. Derek's eyes filled with tears. And Simone felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope for a future she'd stopped believing in. But they both knew that being together was different from being a family unit again. Living together. Making it official. There were still conversations to have, still healing to do, still trust to build. One night, lying next to each other on Simone's couch after Naomi was asleep, Derek asked, What do you need from me? To feel safe enough to move forward? Time, Simone said immediately. I need more time seeing you show up. Not just for Naomi but for me. For us. How much time? I don't know. I'll know when I know. Fair enough. What do you need from me? She asked. Patience. Grace. The benefit of the doubt when I mess up because I will mess up sometimes. I can do that. They lay there in comfortable silence, their hands intertwined, building something new on the ashes of what they'd lost. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was real and it was theirs. 1 year later, on a warm September afternoon, Simone stood in her backyard watching Naomi play on the swing set Derek had installed last month. 6 years old now, healthy and strong, her daughter was living proof that miracles happened every day. Derek came up behind Simone, wrapping his arms around her waist. Penny, for your thoughts? I'm thinking about how far we've come. Yeah. 4 years ago, I was sitting in a hospital waiting for my baby to come out of heart surgery, alone because her father had left. And now, she gestured at the scene before them. Now we're here. Derek tightened his arms around her. They've been living together for 3 months now. Not rushing into marriage, but building a household together, proving they could weather daily life as partners. It hadn't been all smooth. They'd had arguments about parenting styles, about finances, about boundaries with in-laws. But they'd worked through each conflict, using the tools from therapy, choosing each other even when it was hard. I have something to ask you, Derek said, his voice nervous. What? He pulled away and turned her to face him. And then, to her shock, he dropped to one knee. Derek. Wait, let me do this. He pulled out a small box. Simone, I know we've done this before. I know we got married young and for all the wrong reasons. But this time is different. We're different. And I don't want to marry you because we have a child together, or because it's expected, or because it's the next logical step. Naomi had noticed what was happening and had stopped swinging, watching with wide eyes. I want to marry you because you're my best friend. Because you're the strongest person I know. Because when life gets hard, I want to face it with you, not run from it. Because you've taught me what real love looks like. Patient, forgiving, fierce. Tears streamed down Simone's face. I can't promise I'll never mess up. I can't promise every day will be perfect. But I can promise that I will show up. Every single day. In the hard times and the good times. For you and for our daughter. So, Simone Patterson. He opened the box, revealing a simple but beautiful diamond ring. Will you marry me? Again. For real this time? Simone looked at the ring, then at Derek, then at Naomi, who was bouncing with excitement. She thought about everything they'd been through. The pain, the healing, the growth, the forgiveness. She thought about who she'd been, a devastated single mother fighting alone, and who she was now, a woman who'd learned to be strong and to love at the same time. Yes, she whispered. Then louder, yes. Derek slipped the ring on her finger and stood, pulling her into a kiss. Naomi ran over, squealing with joy, and they pulled her into a group hug, all three of them laughing and crying together. Later that evening, after Naomi was asleep, Simone and Derek sat on the porch with glasses of wine, planning their future. Small wedding, Simone said. Just family and close friends. Whatever you want. And we're doing premarital counseling. Real, intensive counseling. Absolutely. And Derek? She turned to look at him. This is your last chance. I mean it. I've forgiven you. I trust you. I love you. But if you ever... I won't, he interrupted firmly. Simone, I walked away from you once and it destroyed me. It took 3 years to claw my way back. I'm never walking away again. Not from you, not from Naomi, not from this family we've built. You're stuck with me. Good. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars come out. Simone thought about calling Janice, calling her mother, sharing the news. But for now, she just wanted to sit here in this moment, feeling grateful for second chances. The wedding happened 3 months later in Lorraine's backyard, the same place where they'd celebrated Naomi's first birthday all those years ago. 30 guests, simple decorations, and Naomi as the flower girl in a purple dress she picked out herself. Dr. Foster officiated. I've watched this couple rebuild something stronger than what they started with, she told the gathered friends and family. They've done the hard work of honest conversation, of forgiveness, of growth. This isn't just a wedding. It's a celebration of two people who refuse to give up on each other or themselves. When it came time for vows, Simone went first. Derek, you're not the man I married the first time. You're better. You're stronger. You're present. And I'm not the woman you left. I'm stronger too. But the difference is now I'm strong enough to be vulnerable. Strong enough to risk my heart again. Strong enough to choose love even when it's scary. She squeezed his hands. I choose you. Today and every day after. Derek's voice shook with emotion as he spoke. Simone, you saved me. Not by taking me back, but by holding me accountable. By making me prove myself. By refusing to accept anything less than I was capable of being. You taught me what real strength looks like. And you gave me the greatest gift anyone has ever given me, a second chance to be the partner and father I should have been from the start. I promise to spend the rest of my life being worthy of that gift. There wasn't a dry eye in the backyard. Naomi, unable to contain herself during the ceremony, piped up, Does this mean we're a real family now? Everyone laughed. Simone looked down at her daughter. Baby, we've always been a real family. Marriage doesn't change that. But yes, now Mama and Daddy are married again. Good. Now can we have cake? The reception was full of laughter and dancing. Simone danced with Derek, with Naomi, with her mother. Janice gave a toast about never giving up on love. Lorraine welcomed Derek back into the family with a stern warning hidden in a warm smile. As the sun set and guests began to leave, Simone found a quiet moment with her mother. "You did good, baby girl," Lorraine said, pulling her daughter close. "I'm scared, Mama. What if?" "Stop. You can't live in what if. You have to live in what is. And what is a good man who's proven himself, a healthy, happy child, and a daughter who's learned that strength doesn't mean never falling down. It means getting back up." That night, after the guests had gone and Naomi was asleep in her room, Derek and Simone stood in the kitchen of their home. Their home. Not his, not hers, but theirs. "We did it," Derek said, pulling her close. "Yeah, we really did. Any regrets?" Simone thought about it honestly. "No, none. But Derek, I need you to know something." "What?" "If you'd asked me 4 years ago if I'd ever forgive you, let alone remarry you, I would have said absolutely not. There was so much anger. So much hurt. I know. But watching you show up, day after day, for Naomi and for yourself, you became someone I could trust again. Not because you erased the past, but because you built a better future. I had a good teacher." He kissed her forehead. "You showed me what real commitment looks like." They stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, and Simone felt something she hadn't felt in years: complete peace. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of partnership. Not a guarantee of perfection, but a promise of presence. From her room they heard Naomi call out, "Mama? Daddy? I love you." They both called back, "We love you too, baby." And in that moment, standing in their kitchen with their healthy daughter asleep down the hall and a future full of possibility ahead of them, Simone knew she'd made the right choice. Not because Derek had never hurt her, he had deeply. Not because the road had been easy, it hadn't been. But because they'd both done the work. They'd both grown. They'd both chosen to fight for this family instead of running from it. 6 months after the wedding, Naomi's annual cardiology checkup brought the best news yet. Her heart was functioning normally, and Dr. Cross was reducing her checkups to once a year instead of every 6 months. "She's thriving," Dr. Cross said with a warm smile. "Whatever you two are doing, keep doing it." Derek grabbed Simone's hand, squeezing tight. They'd both been anxious about this appointment, the old fears never fully gone. But Naomi was healthy, happy, and whole. That night, they celebrated with dinner at Naomi's favorite restaurant. As Simone watched her daughter chatter excitedly about her upcoming school field trip, and Derek listened with genuine interest and joy, she felt overwhelming gratitude. This was her family. Imperfect, rebuilt, stronger for what they'd survived. "What are you thinking about?" Derek asked, noticing her quiet reflection. "Just that I'm happy," Simone said simply. "Really, truly happy." "Me too," he said, reaching for her hand across the table. "Me three," Naomi added, and they all laughed. As they drove home that night, Naomi asleep in the back seat and Derek's hand warm in hers, Simone thought about the woman she'd been 4 years ago, devastated, alone, terrified. She wished she could go back and tell that woman that it would all work out, that she was stronger than she knew, that sometimes the worst moments led to the best transformations. But mostly she was grateful for the journey. Every painful step had led her here, to a family rebuilt on honesty and growth, to a love deeper than she'd ever imagined, to a future full of hope. Derek caught her eye at a red light. "I love you," he said softly. "I love you too," Simone replied, and she meant it with every fiber of her being. They had started with heartbreak and betrayal. They'd struggled through single parenthood and second chances. They'd climbed mountains of forgiveness and trust. And now, finally, they were home.